Shabbat Shalom to all of you.
Shabbat
I am
Shalom.
so glad that you are here now for one more Shabbat through our internet, and the cybernetics are working better than going out. You know, this mega this plague is not allowing us to be closer than before, but at least we can talk to each other and we can participate together in this special service. Sometimes when we become so accustomed to one way, then it's difficult to change. You don't have an idea when you are very comfortable to do changes are difficult. We are now in this special portion called Pinchas. Some people pronounce Pinchas. I like more Pinchas. That's the most popular way to pronounce it. This name has a lot of peculiarities because it's the name of the son of Elazar or Eleazar, who is a high priest, and also Elazar is the son of Aaron. Then it is a continuation of priests, and Pinchas is the firstborn of Elazar. If you go to Shemot, to the book of Exodus, chapter 6, and you're going to see there in chapter 6, verse 25, the lineage of Pinchas, from Aaron to Elazar. Then Elazar married one of the daughters of Putiel, and Pinchas is born. Putiel is also known as Jethro or as the son of Jethro, or depending how the interpretation. But what I'm telling us that he is a Midianite. And here tell us a very nice story that my dear friend Baruch likes to tell everybody, that you are a Jew through the father. Because poor Pinchas wouldn't be a Jew and wouldn't be a high priest, because his mother was a Midianite. Well, that tells you a lot of stories about how, with the time, the years, we have changed our traditions, and we have changed our ways of interpreting the scriptures. And this is why we get in trouble. But in this story of Pinchas, he already had inherited by the word of the Creator the kehunat, the priesthood. Then why they needed to do it all over again? Because the priesthood was inherited, was passing from father to son. That was nothing extraordinary that he said that you are going to be a kehunah olam for the rest of your life, because he already was a priest. Many things that we'll read in the scriptures, we need to be very careful that we jump to conclusion before understanding the background on the Torah. I mentioned first about the pedigree of no more and no less than Pinchas, because we need to understand what is the situation. Well, we are going to see, you need to read before verse 10 or chapter 25. If you can read it from chapter 25, beginning from the first verse, that will give you a background of why Pinchas acted in that way. And one of the things that you are going to be able to understand is that literally Moshe Rabbeinu didn't act it. He was paralyzed. He didn't say anything. The Creator was giving him orders to do, but looked like that he was static. He was not acting. Took Pinchas to react and to do something, because that was going to be a problem with Israel was going to disappear. Now we need to look. I always say, look the times in when this happened. Look at what happened with Israel and the situation that they were going through. They talk about zealotry, but we need to be very careful to use this word, because today, for example, we have groups that has a lot of zeal, and we call it then terrorists. You know, the Hamas, ISIS, and all those groups that they're trying to destroy Hezbollah, and they kill anybody who they don't think like they think. You know. Okay. And they basically, and they defending their God, they kill everybody who they don't think like they think. Like my first question to all of you will be, that's what Pinchas was doing? And if was that, what is the difference then with Pinchas with these terrorists? No? We sometimes, we need to, like I said to you, we need to look in a perspective, the whole understanding of this story. What was happening in Israel at that moment? Let's look at Israel, how they were doing. This is now the second generation. They are ready to get in the promised land. They are having relationship with some of the people around them. They were going through the east part, going through the promised land, north, and they need to go through territories of other groups that were not friendly with Israel. And sometimes they didn't even let them to pass, and they need to fight in order to go through. We saw last week about Balak and Bilam and how they tried to stop Israel, but they knew already they couldn't do it, because they had already every army that was against Israel was destroyed. And they knew, and everybody knew, that they were a very strong army. Then, more than they were in contact with other groups, Israel passing through, what was happening? They were not as isolated as they were before. They were having contact with other nations. And what happened when you are in contact with other nations and you see something different that you have been doing all your life? You become curious. They are young people, and they were enticed to something that they knew that was not right. And they become literally rebellious against the system. What do we need to follow those orders? You know, we are here and we can be like the other nations. And the leaders, the young leaders, start rebelling against the leadership, the elderly. And they were enticed by the communities around them. And they start seeing another type of behavior. And they say, why we cannot do that? Why we cannot participate on that? It's a lot of fun. We are young. We can do whatever we want to do. It's a time of fun. Little by little, they were rebellious against the rules of the Israel leadership and what the Creator has given to them. To the point they were almost literally getting in a moral debauchery, and they were being destroyed from inside, and that needed to be stopped. It's interesting that the Creator attacked them or punished them, if we put it in this way, with a plague. But that was the plague, that there was also like a picture to give it to you. They already had a plague, like the COVID. They were totally infected. And they were infecting the whole nation. And comes one of the chiefs of the tribe of Shimoni, and is going to do something in front of the leaders, doing a very immoral act in front of them. We a princess of the Midianites. Okay. Now, what happened with Moshe Rabbeinu? Who was married, who was his first wife, we want to put it in this way, was a Midianite. Zipporah was a Midianite. And he felt, knowing how straight and how righteous was Moshe Rabbeinu, he said, how are you going to punish one of my princes who is doing this thing with a Midianite, when I myself had 2 children from a Midianite? And look like that became a thing of family or personal thing that he didn't want to go straight and destroy these people or stop it. The Torah was very clear. If you do something like that, was death. There was no any question about it. Already they had received the rules of Israel. And why Simri, the Shimonite, was defiant with Cosby, a princess of the Midianites, in front of Moshe Rabbeinu? He was saying, we are a new generation. The old ways are already gone. Now we are against the status quo or anything like that. Now we need to do our own lives. We are tired to be forced to be different to the others. We want to be like anybody else. And because Moshe Rabbeinu didn't act it, Pinchas needed to stop that. Remember that there was already, the people were crying. You read it before. They were crying. Now, they were crying because they saw that this abomination was coming over them, and Moshe Rabbeinu was not acting, doing nothing. And comes his grandnephew, and he comes, Pinchas, and kills Simri and Cosby. And once he kills them, the Megaphe stop, the plague stop. And once it stopped, he gave it to him. We read it in our portion that he's going to give it the priesthood for eternity, forever, and the covenant of Shalom. Now we need to understand it. What happened? Is it God contradicting His word in the 10 Commandments that He gave it to us? The 6th commandment, very clear what it say. No? Lo tirsach. You shall not commit murder. How he is going to go against and say you're doing well? And here say in 12 that Pinchas has a lot of zeal for the Creator. Another question I want to throw to you: does our Creator need to be defended? You know that there are religions that they defend the honor of God. They kill defending the honor of God. what is happening, to trying to understand this situation, this narrative. The problem was not about defending the honor of God. Nobody can defend the honor of God. God can defend himself. That's not the issue. The issue was we needed to keep the unity of Israel. Israel was in a way of self-destruction. The Creator many times told Moshe Rabbeinu, don't worry, I eliminate all these people and bring you new people. That was not a problem. God could destroy them immediately, 1 second. But they needed at this moment a leader who can say to them, we cannot allow going in this direction. Sometimes we walk with like, I don't know if you have ever seen, I had this experience a long time ago in a place that I saw one time that they cut the head of a chicken, and the chicken started walking like crazy without head, until that. But I couldn't believe that the chicken could run without head, but, and that was, to me, it was a terrible experience. But to me, I related in this way. Israel was like that at that moment, running crazy without head, and they needed to stop it and to put the head again. This is the reason that the Creator called Pinchas, that he brought back the shalom, because it stopped the destruction of Israel. Zealotry is something difficult to understand, and sometimes it's something difficult to understand even in their own application. Because right now we are surrounded by these fanatic people all over. We can see in the United States and certain cities in Canada and certain places in Europe what these fanatics are doing. Destruction for the sake of destruction. They are going against any order, anything that is civilized. And the people, the leaders, are immobilized. They don't even act. And totally the contrary, they trying to appease them by allowing them to keep doing what they are doing. By the way, this is the way that our politicians are doing today all over the world. Appeasement is better than acting with force to stop what is wrong. There's a reason that there are certain fanatical religions that nobody can say anything because we are under the appeasement attitude. We are under the political correctness attitude. We need to be nice to everybody and to smile to everybody. Even if they're killing you, you say, thank you for killing me. Because you don't want to be impolite. Even when you're assassins. This is why we need to come back to the criteria of reality and honesty and directness. The Creator, I keep telling you, has given us Bechirah Chofshi, free will. But a free will means that need to bring, a hariyut. We need to bring responsibility to our actions. And in order to be responsible, we need to have freedom, herut. Without the freedom, we cannot act to do what is right. And what is happening right now is that our freedom has been cut, limited, for the sake of certain group of people. And there are now certain group of people who can do whatever they want to do. And for the sake of political correctness, we don't touch them. And those ones who are the real citizens, the ones that they provide the work and do the things in the right way, they are being punished for the sake of the rebels. Because we cannot accept them. That's what was happening in Israel. In Israel at that time, the people of Israel were going to the wrong direction, and nobody acted to stop them, to say what you are doing is wrong. Today in most of the cities, we celebrate certain festivals of certain people, certain group of people. And now we are not allowed to give an opinion about the type of behavior that they have. And they can do what I call it debauchery in front of everybody, and it's okay. And even children go to see them, because now we are in a new world. And those ones who we believe and we understand that moral values are very important, we need to shut our mouths. We cannot say anything. And then we complain why the world is upside down. You know, and you cannot expect that something is going to change only for the wishful thinking that it's going to change. Was Albert Einstein who said that he's a dummy person who tries the same experiment 1,000 times expecting different results. It's very obvious that this political correctness doesn't work. It's very obvious that this, to shut your mouth or to look at the other side, doesn't work. It's very obvious that you do not need to judge anybody because you know you are not being called being a judge. But what it say in Mishlei, in Proverbs 31, 8 and 9? You that have been given a mouth, you need to act, you need to speak, and you need to do things for those one who cannot talk, who cannot defend themselves. You know, one of those to me immediately came to my mind when I was very young, about the unborn. You know, the unborn cannot talk for himself or herself. Then who are the ones that are going to speak for the unborn? The one that we can speak. Even it's not popular, it's not accepted, even the call us that we are regressive, they talk that we are limited or fanatic or whatever name they want to use against us. The truth of the matter is we have an obligation to speak. And in this parasha, interestingly enough, the name of our personage that is in this parasha, Pinchas, Nahash, the mouth of the serpent. What is telling you with that? It is something that we can take. What the Creator is giving to us. What ideas is giving to us. I have asked you several questions already, you know. I don't know if you are computing those words. Because I want from you your input. You know, you always expect that the Rabbi will give you all the answers. I don't have answers. I can comment, I can have ideas. But the answers, you need to receive it directly from the Creator. And what is telling the Creator is also that we need to use our own sechor, our own understanding, our own capabilities. He has given us brain to think for ourselves. We cannot be, and I told you this before, we cannot be a herd. We cannot be those animals that follow only without thinking. You know, you are responsible for your own actions and for your own decisions and for your own things that you do. And sometimes we need to question the system. Not to be a herd. And not to do what everybody does. And not to accept everyone because I am afraid that they won't like me anymore. I was talking in one of our classes this week, and I was talking about the issue that we need to stand up and we need to talk, but at the same time, we do not need to be afraid to be ourselves. And you know, many of us, because we try to be very polite, or we try to be educated, or we try to be nice, or we try that other people accept us, because we are afraid what they're going to say about us, or they are not to include us in their group, because we want to be included. Then we turn all our beliefs upside down and we thrust everything away from us and we become part of them. Why? Because we want to be accepted. We want to be part of the people. And I'm going to tell you a very strong spiritual truth. More closer you walk with God, less relationship you're going to have with the world. In other words, more closer you go with God, you are going to be less accepted by the populace. You want it or not. Why? Because your principles and your values are totally different. I mean, the only way that you can be accepted by them is if you compromise. And this is what I can see Pinchas. No compromise. No political correctness. When they ask you about an issue that is very difficult, because now with political correctness you need to be very careful. And they ask you about an issue that is very obvious that the Torah say is not right. And you say, well, you know what? This is, well, that's a could be, couldn't be, you whatever you think it is. You know, and besides, you know, there is this and their feelings and this. Okay. You know, you say, whew, oh, what a wonderful answer I gave. And your answer is a wishy-washy answer that don't have value at all. You can be honest and say, I totally disagree with you, but you are a human being that you're free to do whatever you want to do with your life. I don't respond for you before the Creator. I don't believe in the Creator. Okay, that's your problem. You don't have any problem. But I had a problem. Because I cannot accept that type of behavior in my life. That's it. Look at what is the thing that brought almost the destruction of Israel. What is the plagues. Look at what is the problem with Israel. Where they fall. What is the areas that they constantly are falling. And you're going to see how the great empires fell. If you are a historian of the different civilizations in the world, all the great empires, they grow, they got on the top, and then they fall down, and trying to check where is the problem, why these empires were destroyed. And there are always at least 3 ingredients in all this. You know? The first of the loss of respect for the leaders, and the leaders fall also, they don't have any morality. You know? The second is the respect. The second is the debauchery. That is another part. You know, from one side is the leadership becomes totally corrupted. The second one is there is debauchery. And the third one, and you look at most of these great empires, the destruction of Israel, to be anti-Israel. I don't want to be a prophet. I am not a prophet, neither I am a son of a prophet. I mean, don't worry about what I'm going to say to you. But one thing that is happening right now is that all these 3 elements are written on the wall. And there is the falling of the empires. And we are under attack. And it's better to speak sooner than later, because later it's going to be too late. And it's time that we understand Pinchas. Not about killing, but it's about standing up for what is right. And this is why, to me, it's so important. My community, you, all of you, why you are so important for me. Because each one of you represents something very special. You have this special calling. And I know that you are struggling about adaptation, assimilation, whatever we want to call it. And yes, all of us, we want to be accepted by everybody else. But the truth of the matter is that we need to stand up for what is right. And the Creator is with us. He is our covering. He is our protector. And you know, Yeshua, our great Rabbi teacher, say, don't be afraid of those one that can take your life now. Be afraid of the Boreolam, who can take your eternal life. Let's come together. Let's reasoning together. And please stop living in fear. Check yourself, you know, throw those dust of fear. We have been under fear for too long right now. And more fear they put in us, less capable we are to be able to act for ourselves. And we are going to become a herd instead to become a people, community of people who are thinking. If we read the Haftorah and you were able to listen to the Haftorah, what is the promise of the Creator? You come back to me, Israel, because I am with you. Nobody's going to protect you more than me. That's the Creator. The Creator has given His word, and He protects His people. May I ask you this question? Do you want to be protected by the government or whatever you are? Or you want to be protected by the Boreolam? What is time to choose, no? What you will choose? The Boreolam or your government? Your politicians? the people that here, that they don't have moral, don't have values. They're only thinking on themselves. We are still isolated to each other, but I always ask you and request, please communicate with us, talk to us. And when you receive the blogs, please let us know what you think and give us your input, and we can keep talking and growing together. Thank you for this wonderful Shabbat, and I apologize that this Shabbat not everything came just in the right way. Then technologically speaking, we are still learning, and we are going to do better every day that comes. And don't blame Peggy, please. Okay? She's doing well. Shabbat Shalom.